Happy Hour. And now, a guy who's going out tonight for Halloween dressed as J.P. Shadrack.
That'll scare him. Welcome in. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. It is Halloween. And it is Thursday. That means it's time for 2 hours of Jaguars Bliss Happy Hour and then the Doug Pederson Show coming up. Cam Robinson traded. That's his top storyline this week. We'll get a Jaguars-Eagles preview. The Baptist Health injury report. Some trends. We'll see what happens with some of the guys that are dinged up for the Jaguars. And of course, as we said, we'll have head coach Doug Pederson in studio at 5 o'clock on the Jaguars Radio Network. We're on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. JP Shadrack with Jeff Lageman. Favorite Halloween candy? Go.
I'm a Reese's Cup guy.
Crunch bars, but the watermelon Jolly Ranchers, the originals.
No, that's a good one. I'm a huge Jolly Rancher watermelon guy. Only two flavors for me when it comes to Jolly Ranchers. Watermelon, apple.
Grapes,
those two, that's
grape,
it.
Grapes
No,
pretty good, too.
no, can't do grape. If I had to pick a second favorite Halloween candy behind the Reese's Cup,
Smarties, those little sugar things.
No.
I love those things.
No, not a big fan of them. I'm a candy bar guy. Snickers bar is always good.
Those don't miss.
I mean, that's been going back
Yeah.
forever, eons.
But boy, the little crunch bars and the blue wrapper.
Yeah, the blue, red, white, and blue.
Oh,
Yeah, those were good. I used to. I remember Halloween, man. It was like sprinting from door to door to try to get the most candy at the end of the night. And you would circle back and hit some houses twice because you were hoping that they forgot that you came through earlier in the night.
My mother lived in a townhome community with like probably 300, 400 townhomes.
A lot
was
of
like,
doors.
If you're driving through, you needed a cow catcher in front of your car. There were people everywhere on Halloween.
The doors per foot.
You could get so much, like a
racking it
bags
up.
of candy.
Yeah, racking up. And I lived in a suburban community. I grew up in a little town called Sterling, Virginia, which was in Northern Virginia, not too far from Dulles Airport.
Yeah.
And I mean, for trick or treating, I mean, it was bliss. I mean, it was not far, because they were all small single family homes. They weren't big homes, and so you could get from one house to the next. I mean, literally from door to door within a matter of 20 good steps, and you're racking it out.
Huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Huge. What a night. Enjoy it. Be safe tonight on Halloween, of course.
Yes.
Have fun.
And by the way, the greatest candy holder of all time. And parents, don't go and buy your kids these pumpkin pails and bags for Halloween. Give them a pillowcase,
It's
for
easy,
God's sake.
right? Fill the thing up.
Yes.
And
Easy
make sure-
to handle, holds a lot.
Parents, you must air quote inspect all the candy, of course.
Of course.
Part of the deal.
Of course.
Just to make sure.
Heck yeah.
Hey, a big storyline this week, certainly for the Jaguars going into this Eagles game. We'll get to that matchup coming up. But Cam Robinson, left tackle, traded to the Vikings for a reported fifth-rounder in 2 years from now. Could be a fourth-rounder in 2026, depending on playing time, conditional picks being swapped each way. So Cam Robinson, the final player from that 2017 AFC South Championship team, and had played a lot of football here and started a lot of games for the Jacksonville Jaguars. No longer. He'll be back here next week with the Vikings to play the Jaguars, of course. So now it's Walker Little's time. Your reaction to the trade and the timing of it and what this means moving ahead.
Well, I mean, number one, I'm disappointed in that, you have a player that started the year out. He's been your starting left tackle and been there for a long time, that he's gone, because it means that essentially that you're a seller at the trade deadline instead of a buyer, which means you're not in the conversation of being a contender right now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the most disappointing thing to me. I'm disappointed at how it ended. The compensation is not great. If he had left in free agency at the conclusion of this year, your compensatory pick probably would have been about the same value, or maybe even a little bit more. So not a good situation. It wasn't, I don't think, a warm and fuzzy departure. I'll tell you that. But great opportunity for Walker Little. I think Walker is a good football player. He had a good game 2 weeks ago, and they drafted him in the second round a couple years ago, envisioning him to be a starting left tackle in this league. Well, you know what? You're going to find out now. if he can be a starting left tackle in this league. I don't think there's any doubt that he can be a quality run blocking left tackle. The question is can he block the guys that really are hard to block in this league? And last week, Preston Smith kind of got after him a little bit in the early part of that game. He settled down a little bit, which was good to see. But yeah, I mean, this is a great audition for him, and from the perspective of Walker Little, this is as good of an opportunity as you could have asked for.
It's perfect for him. Perfect.
Because otherwise there would have been really no tape for teams to look at, recent tape, to say they could say, okay, well, he's worthy of being a starting left tackle. Well, now he's got the opportunity to prove it. If he plays well, he can parlay this remainder of this season into a gigantic contract for him, setting him up for life.
That'd be huge. I mean, how often does that come around when you haven't played a lot in the first 3.5 years of your contract, and all of a sudden you get a golden opportunity to go out there? This is huge for Walker Little, and we'll see how he plays and if he can help the Jaguars get over the finish line in a few of these games too.
I'm knocking on wood, and the reason I'm knocking on wood is that, look, I mean, the reality is that over the last couple of years, Cam and Walker Little have not been able to stay healthy.
Yeah, and you had depth at tackle. Now you don't have as much depth at tackle.
Well, you kind of had to have the depth.
Yeah.
Because neither one of those guys was able to stay healthy. So, your next tackle up is Van Lanen.
That's right.
And Van Lanen had a great preseason, but again, it's preseason. Let's not get overexcited about preseason.
Man,
They loved him. It is. Highest graded offensive lineman in preseason, I think, this year by PFF. But the reality is the regular season is different than the preseason.
So we'll see about Walker Little. Anton Harrison's staying at right tackle. And is that the long-term future? Who knows?
His future is at left tackle. I believe that from the get-go when they drafted him. I always believed that he was more of a left tackle. He's got great feet. Now, but here's the issue, He's not having a great year himself,
Why not?
He's just not. I mean, this has not been a great year for him, unfortunately, and I think he has the potential to play better, and I don't know if it was injury or whatever, but I think he would help himself out a lot if he would finish better. It's almost like he's gotten a little bit of a bad habit of not finishing on some plays, and he's got to learn to finish better. I think he's got all the talent in the world. I think he can be a really, really, really good football player. But right now, I wouldn't put him into that category. I think he's a starting right tackle. If you ranked him somewhere amongst right tackles in the league, I mean, I don't even know if he'd be middle of the road right now.
Well, he's a young player still. Second year, still growing. I mean, I know he's a first-round pick. But
Anton Harrison has got talent to no end, got feet to no end. Last year had an amazing year with the shoulder issue. Mm-hmm. And the number of guys that he had to block, and he's gotten a little bit better this year, but he's got to learn how to finish. He's got to finish better. And I'm not saying he's bad. I mean, he's far from bad. But I just, certain players, that they have potential to be here. Okay?
That's very high for those on radio.
Yeah, I got my hand over my head.
Okay.
People that are on radio, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Okay? So when you have an expectation of a player that has the talent to hear, when he's playing here,
which is lower,
which is below chin level,
okay,
you're like, yeah, that's not where he needs to be. You just, because again, I believe he has the talent to be a better player than what he's producing right now.
Election day just around the corner. We all need to show up big for our country. Be sure you're prepared for this Tuesday, November 5th by making a voting game plan. For more resources and information, visit NFL.com/votes. We're on 1010XL AM, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. Coming up in about 10 minutes or so, we'll have a Jaguars-Eagles preview and take a look at this Eagles offense. But let's touch on this Jaguars-Packers game last week again. Coming out of that game, there was a lot of bad in the game, right? I mean, the turnovers, the free snap penalties, the pass defense in the key moment late. Mm-hmm. But there was some good as well. The fight back ability. They were down 10 two different times in the game.
Fight back ability?
Is that a word? I don't know.
It wasn't really a word. It's a term.
It's a hyphenated word and two words technically, I think. But
I like it.
The ability to battle through adverse conditions, which they had a couple times in the game. They took the lead after a 10-point deficit, and then they were down 10, started the fourth quarter, and rallied without anybody on the field. They had all these injuries and drove down the field twice, a field goal and a touchdown. That's the positive. At the end, it's a losing result again. So where are you coming out of the game last week?
Well, I mean, disappointed in that you started slow on offense. I think the first 4 possessions you had 3 3-and-outs, and then I believe a turnover, interception. And that's not the start that you're looking for. And
the defense did it on the other side, too. Now, they played well early in the game.
Defense played well early on, but then didn't finish.
That's right.
You know, and finishing has been a problem for this defense. Allowing big plays continues to be a problem for this defense. And disappointed in a lot of ways because you had a backup. Well, let me go back. You had a starting quarterback that was hurt.
One leg.
And couldn't move.
Nope.
And you couldn't affect him. And you didn't affect him with pressure. And that was disappointing. I kind of wanted to see, look, if you've got a guy who can't move, and when he can't move, he literally, they were playing him in shotgun. I don't know if you noticed, they played him in shotgun a lot. And the reason they were putting him in shotgun a lot was so that he didn't have to move
backwards.
Well, if
you saw him trying to hand off a couple of times, like, oh, I get my, he couldn't even do that.
And when you got a quarterback in that situation, bring it. I mean, just bring stuff. Now, I'm not saying it's an all-out blitz every play or anything, but you've got to take advantage when there's blood in the water. You got to attack. And they didn't necessarily do that. And then, okay, he goes out. Now you've got a backup quarterback in, and you've got some mobility. You understand that. And you allowed them to rack up the rush yardage at that point when he came in because, he's a viable running threat.
We saw it.
And that also takes away a little bit of your focus and your concentration at stopping the run because you have to account for him as a runner, much like this week with Jalen Hurts. You're going to have to account for him as a runner. And this is going to be a much bigger challenge this week in my mind because Jalen Hurts is not on the level of Malik Willis. He's a step up. And you've got those 2 guys on the outside. Oh, and by the way, you got one of the best running backs in the league behind Jalen Hurts. So
tight end's decent. Yeah.
But it was disappointing last week as far as defensively. You allowed them the rushing yards that happened late in the ball game and not taking anything away from Josh Jacobs. He's a really good player. Green Bay Packers have a good offensive line, but the Jaguars defense, that's been their strength, and it wasn't able to be their strength late in that ball game. They allowed a season high, what was like 170 yards rushing in the ball game.
Yes.
And then late in the ball game, you had a breakdown again.
I mean, come on. With the coverage, again, we've seen this all season long. The blown coverage.
I'm not trying to pin blame, and I don't know exactly what the coverage was that they were trying to accomplish. Okay, it looked like they were playing man on the outside. I don't know if they were playing man on the inside or some type of combination, but somebody got free. And when I say free, wide open free at a critical juncture of the ball game, and you allow a 51-yard completion that essentially allows the Green Bay Packers to take a knee if they wanted to and then kick the game winner.
Melt the clock. Yeah.
I mean, and defensively, go back to the Colts game when they scored 14 points and I think like 87 seconds or something like that, and you weren't able to cover Alec Pierce, who's one of the fastest wide receivers in the game. Brutal. And you were treating him like that he was, slowpoke McCoy. I mean,
Slowpoke McCoy. That's a new one too. I've never heard of him. I've never heard of that guy.
Yeah, he's not a Pro Bowler.
He's apparently not. He's not going to make it. Hey, we've got plenty ahead. Let's come back in a moment, Logs, and we'll take a look at this Eagles-Jaguars matchup, especially how in the world the Jaguars are going to slow down Hurts and Barkley.
Oof. This might be, and look, Green Bay's really good, most explosive offense. This is another level this week.
We're on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube coming up at 5 o'clock, the Doug Pederson Show. But this is Jaguars Happy Hour.
Are you ready to love how you feel, look, and live in every season? At Elace, we offer more than just luxury med spa treatments. We provide a serene, judgment-free space where you can reconnect with the best version of you. Whether you want to refresh your natural look with Botox or Dysport, pamper yourself with a relaxing hydrofacial, or rejuvenate your complexion with laser resurfacing, our expert team in Jacksonville is here to tailor treatments to your needs. Visit Elace.com today and start your journey to loving yourself.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading healthcare and technology organizations nationwide to deliver workforce solutions. CSI prides itself on building meaningful relationships and provides personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
Jaguars fans, huddle up for the best defense against expensive car repairs, CarShield. Score big with the nation's #1 automotive protection company, CarShield. They offer affordable plans covering repairs on up to 5,000 parts and systems in your car, truck, or SUV. Don't miss any Jaguars action this season with a car breakdown. Call 800-471-1223. Coverage varies by plans. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com. Does propane power your home or business? Count on AmeriGas for expert propane delivery with a neighborly smile. At AmeriGas, the official propane partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, their drivers deliver for Duval. Their local team will keep your home or business running smoothly throughout football season and beyond. Call 844-PRO-JAGS for a free propane quote today. Grilling this tailgate season? Visit AmeriGas.com to find your closest cylinder exchange location and keep it teal with a custom Jaguars wrapped grill tank.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Unlock your potential at the University of North Florida. A beautiful campus with an inspiring environment for learning, UNF is a key partner to Florida's booming industries, providing students with direct access to internships and jobs. Set a new course at UNF and soar into your future. Visit unf.edu to learn more.
The challenge, obviously, is his, the ability to create plays. The ones that aren't there, and he makes them. He's really good outside the pocket. He's tough to bring down. He's strong, powerful. And he's improved so much in the passing game too. And he's obviously got some weapons around him. And it just, again, another player that is playing with confidence. Again, they're kind of catching their stride from early in the season. When they had a couple losses there, but he makes it go. Offensively.
Head coach Doug Pederson earlier this week discussing Jalen Hurts, the Philadelphia Eagles quarterback. And welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. We're at the Hyundai Studios, the Miller Electric Center on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. The Jaguars and the Eagles coming up. And Jalen Hurts with 5 rushing touchdowns since Week 7. This is Week 9 coming up. That's the most in the NFL in that span. He's got the 3rd most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in NFL history, 48 of those. Of course, he can use his legs in the push situation when they get short yardage, especially down around the goal line.
Now, is that called the tush push, or is it called the brotherly shove?
I would go brotherly shove.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Okay.
What do you prefer?
One of the most dominant plays in NFL history.
What would you call it?
I'd call it the brotherly shove.
Yeah.
Because a lot of guys are shoving. I mean, the tush to push. I mean, it kind of pushing on somebody's tush.
They are. I mean, technically, but the brotherly shove sounds.
Yeah, it sounds more Philadelphia-like.
That's right. Exactly.
But it's
effective.
Jalen Hurts and the offense that he runs is so challenging because it's a kind of a numbers game. Okay, give you an example. Let's say, the offense is playing regular personnel and defense is playing base defense, so if you're playing a run support defense, how many defenders are in the box? Okay, like a run defense.
8, right?
8, right? 8 in the box.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many blockers might you have for those 8 defenders?
We'd have 5 offensive linemen,
you got 5 offensive linemen, a fullback, and a tight end.
That's
okay,
7.
so it's 7. So you're essentially you don't have a blocker for every defender. Well, what happens if the quarterback runs the ball and the tailback now becomes a blocker? Guess what?
Or equal.
You've got a blocker for every defender.
An extra hat.
So that's kind of the math when it comes to running quarterbacks and the whole option game that you see so prevalent in college. Well, they're still kind of running some of that with Jalen Hurts, and it's the read option look. And look, Saquon Barkley is benefiting in a huge way with defenses having to account for Jalen Hurts of being a runner. So you can actually watch when he sticks the ball into the stomach of Saquon Barkley, there's defenders that are literally starting to break away from the direction of Saquon Barkley, going in the direction that Jalen Hurts is going to go to. And Barkley actually even talked about it this week in an interview in the locker room, and he was dead on the money. And he said, look, Jalen's been great for me because I've got defenders leaning his way to where he's going. And he goes, and that's all I need. I need a half a step or a small crease, and I get that created because of Jalen. And that's why also Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are having so much success, because they both help each other out as far as the numbers count go. And now you add on top of that you have 2 incredibly dynamic wide receivers to the mix with Philadelphia's offense and A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, which the numbers shocked when not really shocked, but I kind of was, because it's the only duo in the National Football League that since the beginning of 2022 that each receiver have 2,500 plus yards receiving and 15 plus touchdowns. That's the only duo in the National Football League that has that.
Yeah.
That's impressive. So if you think it's just all about Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts, it's not. And oh, by the way, A.J. Brown had another monster game last week. He's missed some time because of injury, but he's averaging over 100 yards receiving a game and nearly a touchdown a game. I mean, he's a great player, and he's big, and Devonta Smith's a little bit smaller.
Yeah, a lot smaller, absolutely.
That's why they call him the Slim Reaper.
That's a great nickname.
It is a great nickname.
It's fantastic.
It is. I don't know if he gave that to himself or if somebody created
you can't
that.
Nickname yourself. I'm sure somebody.
I know some guys
him.
that have done that before. Just saying. I'm not going to name names or anything, but
name them. Let's
go.
No,
I'm not. Like I said, I'm not going to name names.
It's an Eagles team, though, overall that's starting to hit its stride. It feels like they were 2-2 to start. They hit the bye week, and now they've won 3 straight coming off the bye. The offense, as we just talked about, has really started to find their way. They have a lot of things going there. But on the defensive side, it's just a sound group overall. They're in the top 10 in most every metric, major metric that you have on defense, except takeaways. They only have 4 takeaways. 2 of those came last week.
Yeah.
But they're good at every other department. And at some point, hopefully not this week, the turnovers are going to come for them.
Yeah, I mean, last game they had 2. Nakobe Dean had a fumble recovery. C.J. Gardner-Johnson had an interception that was big. And look, it's a new defense. They've got a longtime defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio. And he's as good as there is in the National Football League.
What are some characteristics he normally brings?
Just attacking, fast. They play fast. The other thing about his defense, because, remember, people, he was the defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins last year, and they played at a pretty high level. So the last 3 games alone, which, if you were just a minute ago talking about the last 3 games for Jalen Hurts, let's look at the last 3 games for the defense of the Philadelphia Eagles. They've only allowed 12 points a game. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's really good.
Slightly over 214 yards a game of offense. They played a couple teams that haven't been very good, but they played the Bengals, which they've got Joe Burrow, and that's a pretty good offense with Jamar Chase, right?
Should be.
The other 2 teams, the Giants and the Cleveland Browns, which, those 2 teams have got their issues. But it's a very talented defense. And what concerns me the most is they've got some big dudes up in the middle.
They certainly do.
Big dudes up in the middle. And I would say you start with Jalen Carter. Second-year player. He's one of the most effective interior pass rushers in the National Football League today. His former Georgia mate, Jordan Davis, is also there, who is like the biggest immovable force you've ever seen.
Jordan Davis is listed at 6'6", 336.
There's no way.
Think he's bigger?
Oh, he's way bigger than that. He's way bigger
And he
than
can
that.
move, too, which is the weird thing.
He can move. He can't move like Jalen Carter.
Yeah, Carter can really move.
Carter's in another league.
6'3", 314 for Carter.
Milton Williams, another guy, is really strong, got some quickness to him. I mean, that's a big group. It's a very physical group. And then they've got some linebackers behind, Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean, that can fly. On the edge, you've got Brandon Graham still playing, still good. Been around the block a little bit. Josh Sweat, been there for a minute or two in Philadelphia. Yep. Got a draft pick in Jalix Hunt, who's starting to see some time, see some good reps. But the back end, I think, is where they're really talented. Not playing to their capability yet, but they're starting to get dialed in, and that's concerning. Two rookies, by the way, that are playing really well in the back end.
Yeah. Up front, though, the Jaguars have some changes on the offensive line, obviously.
And where, maybe?
Right. So, I mean, the left tackle, the left guard.
Is Brandon Scherff going to be okay after the knee?
So there are questions there, and if Cooper Hodges or whoever else has to come in on the interior, you're going up against these guys. That's a heck of a debut.
Big, strong dude. And Cooper Hodges got his feet wet a little bit last week. Got some snaps at right guard, and then he had to move over to left guard. And did okay. I mean, he allowed some things, but look, the more snaps he's going to get, the better he will get. And the one thing about Cooper, big, strong guy. Well, this is a week that if he has to play, you need a big, strong guy to block their big, strong guys. So could be a good matchup.
It'll be something to watch for sure.
Oh, buddy.
I mean, is this one where how much do you change the offensive approach if for some reason they're starting to take over up front? You get it out faster, run wide, all this stuff. I don't know what you do.
I said this to some people earlier. This is a game that I think has got to be about Trevor. I really do. I think this is a game that he has to play. He has to play exceptionally well for this team to get the win. You've got an offensive line that may have a whole new left side for this game, essentially. I mean, saying Walker Little's new. And then if Cooper Hodges has to play, that's a whole new side. How healthy is Brandon Scherff? Your wide receivers, at the conclusion of last game, 3 of them were on the sideline. One of them's going to be on IR. I'm assuming they're going to move Christian Kirk to IR any minute. Yeah. And then Gabe Davis and Brian Thomas Jr. were dinged up and couldn't finish the game.
They were both, at least the first 2 days of practice, wearing the non-contact jerseys.
So, that tells me that, what do they say? The high tide raises all ships. Okay, Trevor needs to be that tide to raise the level of play of the people that are going to be on the field, whoever that may be.
We saw it on the last 2 drives.
And did a great job. Great job. And credit Evan Ingram, who essentially got moved to wide receiver at that situation because, Brenton Strange became the tight end. You only had 2 wide receivers that could play, so Evan had to go out there and play with Tim Jones and Parker Washington and did a great job. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this week, who's available, number one, and then how they handle it. But again, I'm going to go back to this. Trevor's got to have a heck of a game this week for this team to win.
Register your furry friend for the Jaguars official 4-legged fan club for pets presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your pet will receive access to exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout the season. Visit jaguars.com/promotion/4-legged fan club and sign up today. Would you ever dress your dog up for Halloween?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Merle, he likes to get dressed up. At least that's what my daughter thinks.
Okay. Find out tonight, I suppose. 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. Kai Stevens in studio with us when we return. It's Jaguars Happy Hour.
Hey Jags fans, stop dreaming of creating your game day fan cave and build the Jaguars den of your dreams with Zip Chair. When it comes to maximum comfort, ZipChair.com is the only place for officially licensed Jaguars recliners, sofas, bar stools, office and gaming chairs, all featuring high-quality embroidered Jags logos. Crack open a few cold ones in the comfort of a Zip Chair and make your home the place to be on game day. Head over to ZipChair.com and save 20% today. Use code JagsRadio at checkout. ZipChair.com, furniture for fans.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with EverBank. Open an EverBank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. EverBank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense, a rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Looking for the perfect place to host a business trip, corporate group, or social gathering? Look no further than the award-winning Sheraton Jacksonville Hotel, proudly part of the Marriott family of hotels. Centrally located next to the St. John's Town Center off Gate Parkway in JTB, they offer everything you need, whether you're hosting a meeting or just unwinding with friends at the BC Grill and Patio. Discover comfort and convenience like never before. Search Sheraton Jacksonville or call 904-564-4772 today.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Well-coached defense. They know what to do. Everything looks the same. Really good disguises. It all comes out of this shell. Then at the snap, it changes, and they do a good job of disguising some pressures. They mix the fronts up. It's not a group that pressures a ton necessarily. They just seems like they do it at the right time. They're all on the same page. They really stress your protections when they do. They like to get one-on-ones up front. This D-line is a really good group, so they play to their strengths. And then the guys in the back end, they fly around. These backers are really physical, very physical. And then the back end is smart, and they got good ball skills, and they're all playing together. So I think you see their defense every week. You watch the season, they've gotten better and better every week.
That is quarterback, of course, Trevor Lawrence discussing this Philadelphia Eagles defense. The full press conference at Jaguars.com and Jaguars YouTube. PRI Productions, the official event production company of the Jags, has everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, it's Jaguars Happy Hour from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, and Jaguars YouTube. Kainani Stevens joining us now. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
What are you dressing up as?
Not this year. I had I went to the Spooktacular that they had at the stadium for some kids the other day, and I had my spider headband on. So it's like a giant spider that was on my head.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Super spooky.
What are you dressing up as, JP?
Well, they said it in the open. Myself. That'll scare the hell out of everybody.
Yeah, but if you could dress up, what would you be? Not what Joe wants you to be.
That's a good question. I don't know. Trevor Lawrence, probably. Put the long hair wig on.
Yeah.
I need a lot more hair.
Yeah,
than
you
I have
need a wig.
Now, but
Yeah, definitely need a wig.
Definitely need the wig. What about you, Lugs? What'd you do?
I don't know what I would be. My daughter is Elmo today.
Oh.
So What character could I be to go along with
Big
Elmo?
Bird, obviously.
Big Bird.
Or Cookie Monster.
See?
I like Cookie Monster. My wife makes
like
some
snacks.
really good cookies. I am kind of a Cookie Monster. Big Bird, though, would make sense.
It's certainly
Give me a yellow plume thing to wear. Yeah.
like a bird suit.
Yeah, with my big orange feet, the big floppy feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys watch Sesame Street growing up?
Oh, absolutely.
All right, just making sure.
Yeah, I know you.
What's the guy in the trash can?
Oscar.
Oscar the Grouch.
It might be Oscar.
No, JP can be Oscar.
I'm not going to do the whole Dave Chappelle bit on Oscar the Grouch.
No.
We'll save that for another show, the after show. Big news. Trade deadline is here this week, coming up.
It is.
And the Jaguars made a deal. Cam Robinson's out of here. Walker Little is in at left tackle, and I guess we'll find out what happens with Walker coming up the next 9 weeks.
We shall. I mean, this is something they were talking about. Obviously, Walker Little's deal is up. Cam's was up at the end of the year as well. And I don't think there was much thought that Cam would come back after this year. So you're making the most of someone that was probably leaving at the end of the year. So if you can get some picks in return, I guess that was kind of the thought process. Plus, you also give Walker Little an actual amount of time to start at left tackle, be consistent there as long as he stays healthy, and see what you actually have at that position and whether or not you want to extend a contract to him and what that's going to look like exactly.
Great opportunity for Walker, like I said before. But, the reality is that if you're winning, you don't trade your left tackle.
True.
It's a part of the environment that you're in. And
if they were 500,
no,
it wouldn't happen.
It doesn't
right?
happen. Yeah, it doesn't happen.
And like maybe 2 games out or something. But now they're 4, and we'll see the Texans play tonight.
Yeah, during the game, you could see from the very beginning of it that something was amiss. Watching warm-ups and Cam come out, you could see that there was the team and Cam were not on the same page. I'll kind of leave it at that.
Easy enough.
And I think it was a situation where a divorce kind of became the necessity. And, it is what it is. It is what it is. You move forward with Walker Little at left tackle and a great opportunity for him, and you hope he plays well.
I wonder, and there were other names speculated over the last week or two around this trade deadline coming up, but what else could there be, if anything else, between now and Tuesday?
You never know.
You know what I mean?
Here's the reality. You lose this game to the Eagles, I think your percentages of making the playoffs drops to like 1%. Okay, that's the number. So you're not going to be a buyer. You could be a seller at other areas. Take a look at maybe who on your roster is in the last year of a deal or the second to last year of their deal, and they cost a lot of money and could help a team. That's who you start to look at, because that's when you have a losing team and your chances of making the playoffs are going to go out the window, and the trade deadline ends Tuesday coming up. You never know.
That's what Doug Pederson likes to say. If someone calls, they answer the phone, right? So if
that's
anybody
right.
calls,
the way it is.
They're going to answer the phone.
And you answer the phone a lot quicker if you lose this one against Philadelphia. I think you're still going to answer the phone.
Oh, yeah.
Regardless either way.
Sure.
But you're answering a lot quicker.
Well, you know what, though? This really stinks we're having to talk about this in week 9.
I agree.
Like, come on, man. This is supposed to be this was supposed to be a team that competed
supposed
for
to be
a
our year.
division.
Yes, it was.
What the hell happened?
I don't know. A lot of
losing.
And I think the frustration, I'm sure, for many people are when you look at the roster, you look at individual players, you see talent there, you see silly mistakes, you see turnovers, you see penalties, you see things that could be cleaned up. And it's not, obviously there's been bad teams here before, but they're getting blown out. This isn't that situation. These are a lot of games that could have been won, and woulda, coulda, shoulda, but it's unfortunate.
A lot of games within 5 points, but the wrong way, and a lot of close losses are losses.
Every game in the league, though, is 5 points. That's kind of across the board.
But that tells you, okay, if you can't win those consistently or have 50% win rate on some of those, and something's going wrong.
Well, and let's not forget there was one that wasn't a 5-point game in Buffalo that was not
there was
pretty.
A couple of those in the Chicago game.
Chicago game as well.
Ugly late.
So. And I think that this is, again, I said this to JP earlier, Kai, I think this is the biggest challenge yet with the Eagles. With the state of the Eagles and the state of your team, this is the biggest challenge yet.
This kind of a road game, it's similar to going to Buffalo on the road. It's difficult for teams that are, winning games, and the Jaguars are not winning games. So to go there right now, it's a tall task all the way around. The Eagles, when they have everything together, they are as good as anybody in the NFL. And unfortunately for us, they've won 3 games in a row, and they seem to be doing that. And with the running game, the offense looks great, and the defense has been keeping them in things too. So it's frustrating.
How physical the Eagles are is what concerns me, because, I mean, that's their strength, is because they're a physical football team. They run the ball. They're big up front when they run it. And then defensively, that's a physical, big, powerful unit up front. And it's going to be there's a lot of weight in the trenches this week, I can tell you that.
And it's the beginning of, well, actually just continues the trend of challenging opponents ahead. The next 4 games, including this week, are against teams that are at least 3 games over 500. Mm-hmm. So really good teams. Minnesota, Detroit, and then Houston. Those 3 teams coming up after this one. And then loosens up after that, but it might be too late because the final 5 teams are all 500 or worse. Well, let's not forget. Might not matter. Let's not forget there's division. Some of those teams that are looked at as they're not good are division teams, and those are always tough matchups just because they're division opponents. Looking for the MVP of the truck game? Better check out the 2024 Ford F-150, loaded with impressive capability and game-changing tech. You can dominate work, play, and everything in between. Test drive an F-150 at your local Ford dealer. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
They're getting their ad money out of you, JP.
Got that right.
You read those reads.
We're on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. And coming up tonight on, Fox 30, 7 o'clock, Jaguars All Access TV. Who you got tonight?
Tank Bigsby rolling in. It's going to be a good one.
He's been having a really good year. Yeah. Really good year. Big, physical. I mean, what an incredible difference from last year to where the coaching staff didn't even seem to have the confidence to put him on the field. And this year, the case can be made that he's the Jaguars' best running back. They kind of had to. It, by necessity, forced him out there, and he's taken that opportunity and run with it. He's been so good that one of the questions out of the media has been over the last couple of weeks is, has he supplanted Etienne as your starter? I mean, and I'm not saying whether the question is fair or not. I'm just saying that as an example of how good that Bigsby has been. He has been good, and he's fun to watch, and he's physical, and he's fast. I mean, He's way faster than I ever envisioned with a guy by the name of Tank.
Tank would be.
Yeah.
Tanks aren't fast.
Yeah, once he gets rolling.
They will run you over, though.
That's right. What do you want to find out from him tonight?
I'm a Halloween person, as we've mentioned, so I would love to know favorite Halloween candy, perhaps favorite Halloween costume as a kid. I think that's always fun. Whatever you got dressed up as, perhaps. I think we talked about that at our department meeting this week, everybody's favorite Halloween costume.
What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Candy.
For me, JP, we're talking about that.
I would say, so for me, it's Kit Kats because I don't buy Kit Kats. Like, I feel like Kit Kats aren't around normally. It's a very Halloween specific candy.
They got to be cold though.
Oh yeah, with a nice snap.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Got to be cold.
I forgot about those
because they melt too quick in your fingers if they're not cold.
This is true. I got some of the peanut butter eggs, like the Reese's, pumpkins. Not the eggs, the pumpkins. You know what I'm talking about? It's all peanut butter. So
if you ever want to get me that, I'm.
Well, if the trick or treaters don't come, I'll have some. I'll bring some to All Access.
I'm a Reese's guy.
Love that.
A Reese's guy. All right, so you guys watching the game tonight?
Texans and
Jets.
Are they playing Jets? Yeah. I'll probably have it on.
Why not?
Yeah.
This is like wanting to watch a NASCAR race to see if the Jets just wreck.
See if there's a fire.
With Aaron
Who's
Rodgers,
going to start yelling at each other on the sideline?
Is this not totally the game? You're like watching to see if the Jets just implode?
Well, NASCAR's coming to town in a couple weeks. So we're going to see it live here.
Ah.
Where?
The Jets are coming.
Oh, yeah. Here. Yeah. Here. Yeah, got it.
Here.
I thought you meant real NASCAR. I was like, wait a minute. There's a track here now?
Golly.
Oh.
No.
No? All right, Kai. We'll see you tonight on television.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
That's Jaguars All Access tonight. 7 o'clock. String Sports Brewery in Springfield. Jeff Lageman will be there, too.
Home of the best wings, and I'm going to have me some Alabama Whites to go home for the night.
You always do?
Not always.
It's a week off here and there, but not
80% of the time.
I think it's a standing order.
I keep threatening to show up one night.
Come in costume. I'll buy you beer.
well, you're in costume, according to Joe.
I know. So, beer's on you, Kai. Thanks. Back in a moment. Injury report, final thoughts. Doug Pederson Show at 5. This is Jaguars Happy Hour.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
UNF is a top public university committed to serving the region, a place where visionary minds come together to create effective solutions. With more than 70% of their graduates working in the area, UNF is North Florida's university, offering 100-plus majors, affordable tuition, and programs in high-demand fields. Soar into your future at UNF. Visit unf.edu to learn more. Tackle your marketing needs with Kessler Creative. Providing direct mail services for more than a decade, Kessler has a wide range of services from small mailers to large banners and signs. Draft Kessler as your first pick to receive the best targeted mail list. Elevate your business and be on the winning team with Kessler Creative. Kessler Creative, results-driven marketing and proud partner of your Jacksonville Jaguars. Looking for the perfect place to host a business trip, corporate group, or social gathering? Look no further than the award-winning Sheraton Jacksonville Hotel, proudly part of the Marriott family of hotels. Centrally located next to the St. John's Town Center off Gate Parkway in JTB, they offer everything you need, whether you're hosting a meeting or just unwinding with friends at the BC Grill and Patio. Discover comfort and convenience like never before. Search Sheraton Jacksonville or call 904-564-4772 today.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at Everbank Stadium because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Welcome back. It's Jaguars Happy Hour. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. We're at the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, Jaguars.com, Jaguars YouTube, Week 9. The Jaguars and the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles 5-2. They've won 3 in a row after the bye week. The Jaguars 2-6. And are clinging to any hope of, getting things together. It's one of those years, unfortunately. So, tough game this week, of course. Eagles hitting the stride. Jaguars trying to get things going. And let's take a look at the injury report presented by Baptist Health. Changing healthcare for good. Part of the issue is that the Jaguars are banged up. All of a sudden, after last week's game, they finished the game without any of the top 3 starting wide receivers on the field. Both guards were out of the game at one point. Scherff finished the game at right guard, but Ezra Cleveland did not. They've had defensive injuries. They've had a starting running back. Etienne's been out for a while. So no injury report out yet today. Yesterday's came out right after 6 o'clock Eastern, so the one for Thursday is not out yet as the moment we speak. But we go through yesterday's report, and Tank Bigsby with an ankle injury, running back, limited Wednesday. Ezra Cleveland, offensive lineman, ankle injury, did not practice. And sounds like that might be a minute. So Cooper Hodges might get some playing time there at left guard. We'll see. Ronald Darby with a hip injury did not finish the game last week, but he was full on Wednesday. So that's a good sign. Gabe Davis, wide receiver, shoulder injury, limited on Wednesday. He was in the non-contact jersey, at least in open media time yesterday and today. Travis Etienne Jr. with a hamstring injury, limited Wednesday. We saw him in the open media time early, doing through the normal drills. We'll see what that means. He was closer to a game-time decision last week, but ultimately did not play. Christian Kirk, done for the year, collarbone fracture. Brandon Scherff with a knee issue, did not practice Wednesday. Mason Smith, ankle injury, limited Wednesday. Brian Thomas Jr., chest injury, limited Wednesday. Had that non-contact jersey yesterday and again today as we saw him out there. Keelan Robinson, the rookie running backs window is open to start practicing now with a toe issue. Was full Wednesday. We'll see how he progresses, how much of the playbook he knows and all that stuff coming back off the injury. And Andrew Wingard's window continues to be open, coming off a knee injury, limited Wednesday, and it could be trending the right way for Dewey.
Yeah, maybe. List. And I don't expect him to come back in the first game and then be back to the normal Wingard self. I think it might take a little bit of time. Interesting with the Keelan Robinson thing being having his window opened up. He had Jake Funk activated from the practice squad the last couple games, and then I think he was signed to the active roster, wasn't he?
Yes.
And then released, and then back to practice squad.
That's right.
And so if Etienne is not available, maybe Keelan Robinson might be available. I don't know the answer to that, but there's a possibility of that just because, he's been on the side for quite some time. Didn't even practice really in training camp, so that'll be an interesting watch. I would think a couple weeks for him just to kind of get back.
Yeah, just
into the feel of it,
actual football feel.
Yeah, because he hadn't really practiced much.
No, and anything.
Yeah, and that's going all the way back to training camp,
rookie camp.
Training camp, he wasn't even really available in training camp.
I think it was like rookie time right before training camp. Those guys come in early a little bit.
Yeah,
and something happened.
And then he got dinged then or something.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to watch. Yeah. But Blake Hance being signed to the active roster, he's a guy that now will be probably a game day active guy to be able to, especially if what I'm saying is that if Ezra Cleveland can't go this week, which with the ankle, or Brandon Scherff can't go, Blake Hance he'll be active. And I thought at the beginning of training camp, I think Blake Hance is a good football player. At the beginning of training camp, he might have been having the best camp of any guard on the roster at the early stages once they went into pads, but then he got an elbow or something like that, and then, he kind of tailed off a little bit. But before he got that injury, I thought he was having an excellent camp.
So we'll see what happens moving forward with some of these injuries.
And another thing about Cooper Hodges, too.
Yeah.
In camp, he was a right guard.
Okay.
If he has to play for Ezra this week, that's left.
Correct.
And in the game, he was playing right for a few minutes for Scherff and then moved over to finish the game at left. A lot of people like to say, oh, well, left, right doesn't matter. Well, it does. It really does. The footwork is different. The dominant versus the secondary hand, it's different. And so it's going to be an interesting watch, especially with the talent that the Eagles have up in the defensive tackles. A pretty good group.
The Eagles have a few guys on the injury report as of Wednesday at least. Jalen Carter, one of those defensive tackles, did not practice with a shoulder issue. Landon Dickerson, the guard, with a knee issue, didn't practice. Dallas Goedert, the tight end, hamstring injury, did not practice. Darius Slay with a groin injury, did not practice Wednesday. Mekhi Becton, tackle, concussion, limited Wednesday. And
he's been a guard, though. Becton's been a guard. He's been their starting right guard. And the guy that they had that played in his place, Tyler Steen, and JP, you probably know him because he's an Alabama guy. He's a good football player. I'm watching the Eagles play this past game against the Bengals and knowing that the Mekhi Becton is out, and so I knew that there was a backup in there. Didn't know who it was, and it's Tyler Steen. And then the left tackle, it's usually Jordan Mailata, who is a monstrosity of a man, and he's been out with a hamstring, I believe. And so Fred Johnson has been playing left tackle. So I was kind of going into the film saying, yeah, they're probably okay, but they don't have Mailata and they don't have, Becton at right guard, so they'll probably be off a little bit. And they flat out wore out the Bengals now. I mean, that offensive line, physical, finishes, they run the ball very well. And Barkley is a big physical running back. He's a total match for what they're trying to do in Philadelphia. And the Giants should have done everything they possibly could to have kept him. They made a huge mistake, and they know it.
Jaguars social media, the official Jaguars account, has put out the Thursday injury report. And just to update, Ezra Cleveland did not practice today again. Neither did Brandon Scherff on the offensive line. So 2 days in a row for both guards for the Jaguars.
Yeah, that's so if you had to, if neither one of those guys could play, just hypothetically speaking here, right? Cooper Hodges at right guard, Blake Hance at left.
Roll on. Let's
keep
go.
on. Let's go.
Let's play.
That's what you do, probably, right?
I have to.
Yeah. I mean, Fortner's he's a center backup. That's it.
You wouldn't put him in at guard?
No. I mean, in a pinch, if you had to on a game day, but with Blake Hance available, I'm putting Blake Hance in. Blake Hance is a better guard, way better guard than Fortner.
Coming up in about 4 minutes or so, the Doug Pederson Show. We'll hear from the head coach in studio and get his thoughts coming out of that game against the Packers and the trade of Cam Robinson. He has not officially been on the record since the trade was made official by the team, so he had to kind of limit his comments on Cam himself in his Wednesday press conference. So I'm sure we can ask Doug Pederson about it coming up.
Yeah, no, well, we'll ask him that, and we'll ask him many more questions. And
there's a lot to ask
including about the injured guys. You know, what does he expect this week? What does he think? And then also, the Jaguars' defense continues to give up big plays. You know, how is that coming? Is it getting better? Do they feel better about where they're at? Because you know what? This past game, when the game was on the line, that reared its head again for this Jaguars defense, and I'm sure that's very frustrating for Doug and his football team. But they've got to get better in that category, otherwise they're going to struggle to win games. Plain and simple.
It's just what it is. That's coming up in just a few minutes. The Jaguars head coach in studio with us on the Jaguars radio network. The Jaguars and the Eagles last met in 2022. You remember that game, Logs? It was pouring rain and cold in Philly.
At times.
Well, it was wet enough for Trevor Lawrence to fumble away the ball 4 times.
Well, Jalen Hurts didn't.
True. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I mean, look, and that was a game that Jalen Hurts and his ability to run, I thought, was the difference in that ball game, because the Eagles ran the ball pretty well, if I remember right. And the turnovers obviously hurt in a big way.
They had a lead in that game, didn't they? Jags? Pretty early?
I think they did, yeah. At one point they had the lead.
Zip, man.
And then it didn't turn out so good.
Sunday forecast in Philadelphia, sunshine, a high of 60, a low of 39, and, of course, the game at 4:05, so looking like, high 50s by kickoff time.
Yeah.
Drifting down a little bit by the end of the game.
Have to bring a little bit of a jacket. So I'm looking at the hourly, because, the hourly is always a big deal for me.
Yeah. Doppler logs over here.
That's right. So at 11 a.m., looking at 56 degrees, kickoff 60 degrees with the wind, a steady 1 mile per hour out of the northeast. So as far as game conditions go, this might be the best game conditions you could possibly ask for as a football player. 0 wind, 60 degrees, give me that every day of the week.
So no excuses.
No. That's a play all day kind of weather.
Let's play 2.
So like Ryan Nielsen, okay? Just in my thought here, okay, 1 p.m., 60 degrees. I'm not going to need to rotate my guys, okay? My guys are going to play.
You sure?
My guys, we're going to play.
Oh, man.
Okay, we're going to play.
Oh, boy.
Get ready, boys. 60 degrees. We don't need to rotate you as much today. Let's go.
I have a feeling that's not going to happen.
I don't know. You never know.
We'll find out.
We're going to find out.
Sunday, 4:05, the official kickoff time. That'll do it for Jaguars Happy Hour. Coming up, the Doug Pederson Show. We'll hear from the head coach in studio on the Jaguars radio network. Thank you for listening to Jaguars Happy Hour.
Welcome to the Doug Pederson Show. Brought to you by Fresh from Florida. JP Shadrick and former Jaguar Jeff Lageman discuss the latest Jaguars news with the head coach. The Doug Pederson Show starts right now.
Welcome in. It's the Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida from the Hyundai Studios. We're on the Jaguars Radio Network presented by the University of Florida. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman and head coach Doug Pederson in studio with us, coming out of the Packers game, headed to Philly this week. We'll get to that matchup coming up. But let's say this game against the Packers last week, Coach, was a lot of good. A lot of not so good, but some really good at the end to fight back through some adversity. Guys got injured in the game. The defense gave up a play late, but you got to like the way the team, I think, fought back to get back in this game late.
I do. I think that's a sign of where this team is. There's no quitting this football team. I like what Trevor did in the second half of that game, leading that team, especially when we lose our top three receivers, in the game, and we're down to our fourth and fifth, and all. We got our tight ends, which are, as you saw, which is a good matchup as well. But I thought Trevor did a great job in the second half, played tough. The offense moved the ball, got us back in that football game. And then you look back on it and you go, okay, you put it under a microscope and you go, okay, there's a handful of plays, right? There's 2, 3, 4 plays in the game that really decide the game. And things to me too, I mean, you look at, 1 for 9 on third down is quite unacceptable. I mean, we need to be way better than that on third down. And then, I thought the defense, though, for the most part, really, other than about 3 plays, played a really good football game. And we were punt, interception to start the football game, defensively, and really did a nice job in the run game. And quite frankly, kept the offense in this football game. But like I said, then offense goes punt, interception, right back. Give them 17 points in this football game, 2 of them on turnovers, and it's just things that we just can't do, right? And right now that's a hard thing to overcome for us right now. But I will say this: end of the game, I love the way our team fought, love the way our team came back. Defense was playing really good, got the ball back to the offense, able to put it in there, tie the score, and we were all jazzed. I mean, we were all excited, thinking we were going to get the ball back and go down and kick a game-winning field goal again.
The point where Trevor is playing in the game without the starting 3 wide receivers, I thought he was really decisive, very aggressive. And you talk about the tight ends being on the field, which is your 21 personnel. In that situation, as a coaching staff, are you taking 21 personnel and running all of the plays that you normally would as a 3 wide receiver group, using Evan as a wide receiver, or are you calling plays specifically treating Evan as a tight end only?
No, I mean, what's kind of cool about what happened last week is, we do this thing called musical chairs in the spring, where we just take, you guys know the musical chair game, right? You run around, then music stops, you sit down. Well, we do that with our receivers, and we put them in all different positions. We don't tell them, and we just give them a play, and you go execute the play, and then we give them then they go to another position, and they run another play, and then they run to another position. So that was really what ended up happening at the end of the game. It was musical chairs. But, we treat you treat Evan as a receiver, and so really you're in 11 personnel,
right? And
Brenton's your Y. Because you could still create some matchups, and you saw what Brenton did with the ball in his hand too. Big, powerful runner, and ran over the linebacker there, and just and Evan did the same thing. He elevated over a safety in a corner and scored the touchdown, and so it was just a great part of what we did in that game last week.
Fast forward to the end, the big play, the throwback play. One play earlier in the game, the throw to the tight end. Big plays have kind of been haunting your defense a little bit. You've been giving up quite a few of them. Is it progressing? Is it getting better? Or is it something, hey, look, we still we got to get better at this, guys. We got to get cleaner. We got to make sure that we're not beating ourselves.
And that's a great question. I would say it's getting better, but there's still that 1 or possibly 2 plays a game that you just – from veteran, these aren't young players, right? These are veteran type players that are making some of these mistakes, and they shouldn't be. They're far enough along in our schemes to not make these mistakes. But now that shows me like, okay, we got to teach it better as coaches, right? We got to show it to them in the film room. We got to make the corrections during the week so that we can minimize these mistakes. But it's just putting your eyes in the wrong spot, and just losing sight of your man. And even though you're in a zone coverage, on a couple of those, you still can't lose sight of your zone and who's coming in, who's threatening your zone. And that's what happened on the big, scramble to the tight end in the first half. And then obviously the same thing at the end of the game for them to, be in a position to kick the winner.
Head coach Doug Pederson with us after the game. Cam Robinson traded to the Vikings, became official on Wednesday. He's been a starter here for a long time. So why now for the trade, your reaction to it? And it's a great opportunity for Walker Little the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, look, the trade deadline's next Tuesday. You see what's happened around the league already, with some of the top receivers being traded to different teams. And you never know what the other team is their situation, what their situation might be. And I know in Minnesota's case, I think they were down a left tackle and all of that. And then for us, I mean, listen, you can't substitute the fact or discount the fact that, he's been here, 7 going on 8 years, and he's been a starter for us, and he's done a lot of great things for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so, my hat's off to Cam, what he helped us do in my first year here, and obviously in the 2.5 years he's been here, and I appreciate everything, that he's done and his hard work, and he's been a leader on this football team. And but again, it's an opportunity now for Walker, I think, to step in and really, I think, take a hold of that position. And this is, I think everybody keeps asking, is it Walker? Is it Ton? Is it Cam? Who's the tackle rotations? Well, now it's Walker's opportunity, right? And so let's see. And we got a lot of confidence in him and his ability. And so moving forward, Walker Little's your left tackle.
You ended up pretty banged up at the end of that ball game. A lot of guys weren't in the game at that point. How are they doing? I know it's midweek and you've still got another day before you have to put out an official injury report. But what are your expectations with those guys? Yeah,
we did take a beating in that game. Brandon starting the offensive line. Brandon Scherff, I mean, just he had a knee injury and played through it and tough, and he's missed a couple days here of practice and done some things on a limited basis out there. Ezra had the ankle sprain, or has the ankle sprain, and those things are a little bit finicky. He's more week to week. I don't know if he's going to make it this week or not. We'll see. BT, Gabe, two of our stars at receivers, and we both came out of that football game, and I mean, both are progressing well. But again, one has a rib, one has a shoulder, and those are tough injuries, for receivers to overcome. And so, that's a lot on offense. We don't need any more, on that side of the ball. And really, I look at it too, like, defensively, I mean, hopefully, Dewey can come back, Andrew can come back this week and help us there at the safety spot. And it was really good to get Foye back out there last week, and he'll begin to kind of settle into his role a little bit more. So it's progressing. Like you said, we got a couple more days here before we head up to Philly.
Head coach Doug Pederson with us, looking ahead now to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's been a couple years since the Jaguars faced Philly up there, of course. But it seems like they're hitting their stride now. 2-2 start. They had the bye week, and now 3 in a row. Jalen Hurts playing well. They got Saquon Barkley, and then the defense is a Vic Fangio group. They haven't taken the ball away much this year, but they've done everything else really well. What stands out overall about this Philly team and their personality?
Well, I think you start on offense, and everything kind of starts with Jalen. Kind of runs through him, and he's playing extremely well right now. He's not turning the ball over. He's taking care of the football. He's obviously with Saquon back there, and the yards he's gaining has been a big help as well. And that's a big part of the offense, right? It's the run game, the play action, and then allowing Jalen to get on the perimeter and throw on the run. I mean, that's one of his strengths, obviously, among many. And defensively, I think this is a group that's sound. It's a Vic Fangio group, so they're gonna keep the lid on it. They're not gonna let anybody get over the top. They're gonna disguise coverage. They're playing better. Obviously, as you said, they aren't taking the ball away, but they're playing good defense and, complementary football. And that's what you need to be doing this time of year.
The two things that really stood out watching film for the Eagles as a team, what the quarterback Jalen Hurts does in the running game, because you have to account for him, being a legitimate running threat. It stresses the defense, and on top of that, he can throw the ball. Defensively for the Eagles, those big freaking defensive tackles. My God. I mean, those guys are a challenge for anybody to block.
They are. They're a load inside, and when they want to put their foot in the ground and come off the ball, they bring a lot of power and oomph with them. But yeah, that's a challenge for our offensive line. And then they've got a couple of edge rushers. Josh Sweat's been there now for a couple of years. We drafted him several years ago, and a kid out of Florida State, and he's playing good. He's long and lanky and can get after it. And so they got the pieces in the right spots. And they got some young players playing. We'll see where Slay's at the end of the week, but it's a good group, and they're playing really well. I do think it starts with that big front, though.
Coach, last final thoughts with you here. I know this one probably means a little more to you being Philly. However, we know that every game means more now for this Jaguars team, just the way the season has started. So there is some football left and time to get some of these details and basics down, right?
Exactly. Look, we can't look past any football game. We got to continue to improve and work on the things that we're struggling with and making errors in games. And I do think one of the things too right now, Trevor's playing well, which is good, which is positive. BT's playing well. Hopefully he can make it to this game, and then defensively just eliminate some of the explosives. I think we're playing, better defense. We're playing a little bit better complementary football. Some of the ways we're starting games defensively has been better. So it's coming, right? It's coming, but each week you keep running out of games. So, we've got to make a move and show that we can work our way back in this thing.
Thanks for the time, as always. Best of luck this week.
Thank you.
Head coach Doug Pederson with us, about 20 minutes away from Andrew Catalon of CBS Sports. This is the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Ranked as the nation's best public university by the Wall Street Journal, the University of Florida is on a mission to transform education. UF continues to help grow the economy through research breakthroughs and leadership in AI. And with its nationally recognized career services, UF students and graduates have never been better prepared to make a difference in the world. To learn more about how the University of Florida fuels bold ideas that make an impact around the globe, visit fromflorida.ufl.edu.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com. The world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com. Officially licensed everything.
The Jaguars bring performance, strength, and passion to every play. And you'll find the same when you bank with EverBank. Open an EverBank Performance Savings account and score serious savings. See what you could earn at everbank.com/Jaguars. EverBank, advantage you. Member FDIC and the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
And it continues on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by Fresh from Florida. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Our thanks to head coach Doug Pederson joining us in the opening segment each and every week on Thursdays, 5 o'clock. All right, so plenty to discuss there from the head coach. His first comments about the Cam Robinson deal.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, obviously Cam has been a player around here since 2017. 2 different playoff runs, played a lot of football here, but it's kind of that time when the team's not winning and things start moving and you start making changes and want to look a little bit ahead. Yeah, there's still football to be played this year, too. They're not out of it mathematically, but that feel is kind of trending the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, just it's pretty obvious. I mean, you're not trading a guy if all of a sudden you're in the hunt, and the teams that are trying to trade for players are teams that believe that they have a chance to win and to win it all. And this football team, being where they are, the reality of it all is that they had a player in a situation that didn't go very well and didn't seem to be easily rectified, and so the deal was done, and it is what it is. And team moves on, and Cam moves on, and we'll see him in 2 weeks.
Next week.
Is it next week?
Vikings come to town next week.
Yeah, because Christian Darrisaw, who is their really, really good tackle for the Minnesota Vikings, what did he hurt?
I don't know. Yeah.
I think he hit a knee or something like that. Anyway, he's out for the year, I believe, and so that's why Minnesota wanted to try to get starting caliber replacement for him, and they did, and which it's not very often that you can get a starting caliber tackle at this point of the season. I'm sure the Vikings were elated.
Absolutely. Now, there was also the rumor the Chiefs were in the market as well at some point, or maybe sniffing around. That would have been something to have both former Jaguar tackles in Kansas City.
Well, the Chiefs have some issues at left tackle. They've been kind of going back and forth between a veteran and a rookie to try to see who can basically take that job and then make it theirs.
It was a knee injury for Darrisaw, by the way. He's done for the year.
Yeah,
needed surgery.
Thought it was.
So that's one thing. And then now looking ahead to the Jaguars-Eagles matchup, and he understands the power that this Eagles offense can have in the running game and the dual threat ability of the quarterback and the running back combo. That's just a unique challenge.
Well, and what's a little bit concerning, going into the Green Bay game, the Jaguars defense was doing a really good job against the run for the most part. I mean, downright stout. And you knew that Green Bay was going to be a challenge because Green Bay had what I believe one of the top 5 offensive lines in football, and they also have one of the best backs in football in Josh Jacobs, which shame on the Raiders for letting him go. Just like shame on the Giants for letting Barkley go. Oof. And then when the backup quarterback came in, now you've got a viable running quarterback, and the running game changed a little bit for the Green Bay Packers. It wasn't no longer just straight handoff from shotgun or under center and then handing the ball off on zones or whenever. Now things became more of that option with the quarterback potentially keeping the ball. And when it became that's where I think the fortunes of the Jaguars' run defense changed. Well, this week you're going to see exactly that in the Philadelphia Eagles. You're going to see the same look that you saw against Green Bay when Malik Willis was in the ballgame. And so that's a challenge. So 170 yards, even though, Doug said that, the run defense has been pretty good or was pretty good this past game. Well, it wasn't late, because on that one drive, Green Bay was able to run the ball for like 76 yards on the ground on an 80-yard drive in the third quarter.
Run like 6 or 7 plays on that drive.
They had one pass, and it was like a 4-yard completion.
That's right.
And on an 80-yard drive, so 76 yards on the ground. I got the numbers right here. 76 yards on the ground. Josh Jacobs had 54 of those rushing yards, and one of them was a 38-yarder on the ground. And then that's when Green Bay took the lead in the third quarter on that drive.
Let me ask you this. As a defensive end or linebacker, when you see – what are you looking for in the read option, quarterback, handoff kind of thing? What is some of your tells there?
I don't know. Well, every team has a tell. I mean, you're trying to see where the ball is going. You always the ball is everything, because if the quarterback is going to keep it, he's not going to sometimes stick it all the way into the stomach of the running back to risk maybe losing control of the ball. So a lot of times it's just how far the ball goes out there. The body language of the running back sometimes can tell you. But in the NFL, the NFL actually had to adapt to a lot of this read option stuff. And you had NFL coaches a few years ago because, years ago in the NFL, you didn't see this kind of system. And then as coaches in the NFL started to migrate some of that college stuff into the pros because they were making young quarterbacks a little bit more comfortable. So then all of a sudden defensive coordinators in the NFL were faced with something that they really hadn't had to deal with. So the NFL defensive coordinator started going to essentially a school with the college defensive coordinators to try to understand, how do you deal with that? How do you stop it? And so coaches have different ways, and I'm
sure those college coaches were like, we'll tell you for a fee.
Well, no, I mean, and there's a couple
Absolutely.
ways to kind of stop that look. One of them is that you have people that are assigned to people. So in other words, hey, JP, we're on defense. I've got the running back, you've got the quarterback, okay?
Right.
And we declare that. And then there's some teams that it might put a guy in a position of reading it, feathering it, trying to see, okay, I'm a defensive end, and I'm going to shuffle, and then make the tackle to my left if I'm a right end, make the tackle to my left if the ball's handed off, but then be able to come back out if the quarterback keeps it. So there's a couple different ways to approach it. In my opinion, and Todd Walsh was the one who kind of told me about the system that he studied with college coaches. He said the best way to do it was to define it for your players so that they can attack each one. You are attacking the ball carrier, the running back, who's a potential ball carrier, then you have somebody attacking the quarterback in case he's the ball carrier.
Plenty ahead. We're about 15 minutes away from Andrew Cattle on CBS Sports. He'll call the game on television this week. He's been around the AFC South, as he
good guy
normally is.
Good guy.
We'll get his thoughts on the Jaguars-Eagles matchup coming up. Hey, and up next, the Jaguars offense. What can they get done this week with the injury bug biting a bit? It's the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious Fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game. Want to cruise down an open road in high-performance style? Visit JacksCorvetteGiveaway.com for a chance to win the ride of your dreams. A brand new 2024 Corvette Stingray Coupe. With its sleek design and cutting-edge technology, this vehicle is built for speed and luxury. So what are you waiting for? Enter to win at JacksCorvetteGiveaway.com today. No purchase necessary. Open only to legal residents of the states of Georgia and Florida. 18 years of age and older. Some restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. Ends 11/15/24. For entry information and official rules, visit gotoeventlink.com/rules.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
The Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida, and we're on the Jaguars Radio Network presented by the University of Florida. #1 university in the U.S. News and World Report's #1 state for education. Oh, yeah, it is Florida-Georgia week, or Georgia-Florida week, depending on your allegiance, I suppose. Georgia, I think, the home team this year, technically, at the bank, coming up Saturday.
Is there really a home team?
Yes, they alternate every year.
Yeah, I mean,
and they're really into it.
Who it
is. It's a whole thing.
It's kind of a neutral deal anyway.
Oh, it's 50-50 split.
Yeah.
Who's wearing the home jerseys? Who's getting the coin toss? All this stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's a big week for the city. Of course, a lot of visitors in town.
Huge weekend. Did you see RV City already?
Oh yeah, they get after it.
I mean, I want to say it was Monday morning. They were already in there.
Yeah.
I was like,
probably a line to get in.
What?
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Oh,
it's a scene, man. So
I know. I've got my brother-in-law and sister-in-law and their crew and my wife. I mean, they're all Florida grads. They got a big party planned, I think.
They better enjoy the party because the game is, who knows?
Georgia's pretty good.
They are.
I want to say, last week I was looking at it. Green Bay's got a ton of Georgia guys.
They do, but Philly.
Well, Green Bay had, they have 1, 2, 3, 4 on defense. And then this week, Philadelphia's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on defense.
Yeah. Like they're all like the high draft pick guys, though.
Yeah, like big-time high picks.
Yeah. A bunch of first-round guys.
It's amazing. Oof. I mean, it really is. It's amazing how many pro prospects the University of Georgia puts out year after year after year.
They've been on a great run. They've won national championships. They've been in the mix. They have put out great players.
What's their NIL payout? What are they paying out a year on their roster?
The biggest, probably.
Right, they got to be up the top.
Up there really high.
Yeah, I mean, Texas A&M, Georgia,
Alabama, Ohio State, all those.
Got to be high.
Yeah, they're up there. They're up there. That leads us into this Philadelphia defense that we're talking about with all these guys from Georgia. And it's a group that has been solid statistically overall this year. A top 10 group in most every metric that matters, at least, except takeaways. They've only had 4 of those. 2 of them came last week in their win over Cincinnati. But it's a stout group up front. They've got guys on the back end, and Slay's been injured on the back end, but they've had guys step up and play, and it's a defense that can keep this team certainly in games. They've been really playing well over this 3-game stretch.
Yeah, the guy you got to start up front because I mean the dominant player up front is 98, Jalen Carter, who is a second-year defensive tackle, and he was the one that was, I think he had a guy that passed away. He was racing and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, a lot of people passed on him, didn't think that they could touch him, and then he fell to the Philadelphia Eagles, and they were all too happy to draft him. He is a dominant player. There's not many guys that you watch in the National Football League to where you say he's a man among boys, and he's one of those guys. Him and Chris Jones are arguably 2 of the most dominant interior defenders in the National Football League.
Chris Jones of the Chiefs, of course.
Yes. And he's really good. And then you pair him with Jordan Davis, who is this massive mountain of a man that's immovable. And there's a couple other guys that rotate in there as well, folks. And the name Milton Williams, number 93, really good player, productive. So this defense starts with those big guys up front. And they've got some guys on the edge that are pretty damn good and fast and can fast flow. And one of the reasons why the linebackers are so active is because of those big guys up front.
Yeah,
I mean, they just
clog
keep
they
totally clog it up and allow those guys to run. And Nakobe Dean's a guy that's really fast. Zach Bond's a really good linebacker on the outside. You still got Josh Sweat and Brandon Graham and then Nolan Smith, who's a Georgia guy as well. But he's one of those undersized pass rushers, like 6'2", 235, 38 pounds, somewhere in that range. And if you're an offensive tackle and you're not paying attention, he's going to get around you before you even know it. I mean, he's one of those fast guys. So this is a defense that's really good up front. But then in the back end, if C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's been around forever, Darius Slay, one of the top corners in the league when he's healthy, but the 2 rookies that they have, They drafted one in the first round, which was Quinyon Mitchell, who many thought the Jaguars would pick. And then the second one they got in the second round, which was Cooper DeJean, which is a white guy from Iowa, which is, there's not many white cornerbacks in the National Football League. And he is a really good one. He made a play last week on Jamar Chase that was on a 4th and 2, I think it was, an outstanding tackle coming up and making the play and ended a Cincinnati drive. That was a huge moment in that ball game. So these two guys are really good football players. They're young players, but they're playing really well.
So we got that going for us this week in Philadelphia. And it's the Jaguars offense that has injuries right now. Of course, on the offensive line, we've talked about it. The guards, neither one of them have practiced this week, Ezra Cleveland or Brandon Scherff yet. So, okay, questions there. And then at wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis both wearing the non-contact jerseys, at least in the open periods, the first 2 days of practice this week. And Christian Kirk's out for the year, so a lot of change coming up on offense.
Well, and what changes and exactly that are going to happen, we don't know. And so this is going to be one of these games, and I think in some respects Doug doesn't know yet. When we were asking about him earlier, kind of got the impression that not quite sure. And so this is going to be one of those things that there's going to be a lot of questionable designations, I would guess. And then this will be one of those deals where it comes up and goes to almost game time.
And, of course, I left out Travis Etienne Jr., who could be one of those and has been the last couple of weeks, the Jaguars running back. Plenty ahead. We're back in a moment with CBS Sports play-by-play announcer Andrew Catalan. If you want customized Jags furniture for your home, check out ZipChair.com and browse all customizable options. ZipChair, furniture for fans. This is the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Ranked as the nation's best public university by the Wall Street Journal, the University of Florida is on a mission to transform education. UF continues to help grow the economy through research breakthroughs and leadership in AI. And with its nationally recognized career services, UF students and graduates have never been better prepared to make a difference in the world. To learn more about how the University of Florida fuels bold ideas that make an impact around the globe, visit fromflorida.ufl.edu.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
It's not about how you start the job. It's about finishing what you start. The Ford F-150 truck can help. Get the freedom to choose between available gas, PowerBoost Hybrid, or all-electric powertrains, all delivering the power, capability, and efficiency needed to get the job done right. Just another reason why Ford F-Series is the best-selling truck in America 47 straight years. Ford F-150, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida. The Jaguars face the Vikings Sunday, November 10th for the Jags Salute to Service game. See the shell white alternate helmets in action for the first time. And join us in honoring our military all game long. Lock in your tickets at jaguars.com/tickets. Well, the Jaguars and the Eagles coming up. Andrew Catalan will have the call this week on CBS Sports. We discussed a lot of things this week. Plenty going on around the Jaguars, of course. But we talked through the Eagles' offensive weapons, plus the Jaguars' rally last week in the fourth quarter in a losing effort.
I think Brenton Strange had a really nice second half. 4 of his 5 catches were after halftime when they needed him because of the injuries. Evan Ingram, I think, is still a really good tight end in this league. And I give the coaching staff credit for adjusting without the receivers. We had to see them in double tight end a lot in that second half during the comeback. So, some positive signs, but still not where any of the Jaguars fans thought they would be after 8 games this year.
Andrew, there's another trade that's happened, of course, this week. Cam Robinson is gone to Minnesota. He'll be back next week, by the way, to face off against the Jags. That'll be an interesting conversation. They're not out of it mathematically, but they're giving Walker Little a shot at left tackle the rest of the season. It's the final year of his rookie deal. So that's kind of where they are on the offensive line right now, too.
Yeah, and I think it's a great opportunity for Walker and for the organization to figure out if this is a guy that we want to bring back and make our left tackle of the future. So in some ways, I understand the trade. I feel like, these days, the last few years, more and more trades compared to 10, 15 years ago. So I find that interesting, becoming more of the norm in the NFL. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of activity before the trading deadline next week.
All right. Final thought about this Jags offense, at least. Some young guys really playing well. Tank Bigsby stepped in, and with Travis Etienne Jr. dinged up a little bit, he's really performed well over the last month. And then Brian Thomas Jr. showing off. He had a chest injury last week. We'll see his status moving ahead. But to have those young guys stepping up and playing big, that's a bright spot in an otherwise dull start to the season.
Big time, big time. I'm really hoping that Thomas plays because I'd like to talk to him in our production meeting. I'd like to get a sense of this young man because I've been really impressed with the way that he has played. And Tank Bigsby certainly has, I think that you see it a lot, at JP, that when you have a year under your belt, it's almost like you're a whole new player in that second season. So I feel like he's made that really nice leap this year. And there's some bright points. I think if they put it all together, it's a pretty good team. Now, obviously, Kirk is no longer there, and I think that's going to be a huge loss. But you're right. The younger players have stepped up in some nice spots here for them this season.
All right, Andrew Cattle on CBS Sports with us. Jaguars defense will have their hands full. They've had their hands full most weeks this season. Let's be honest with you. They've struggled up front in a lot of areas. Rushing the passer hasn't been great. Linebackers are on and off the field. Aluakin's been out a lot. The secondary has issues in pass coverage. That's a long list of things. And they're going up against an Eagles team that can pound you, and they've got Saquon Barkley, who's second in the league in rushing yards, 2-time Pro Bowler. He's fit right in Philly. I mean, I guess he could fit right in anywhere, right?
Yeah, no, he's special. He's a really good player. Called some of his games with the Giants over the years. Interestingly, for me, JP, is that my first game as a full-time CBS announcer was week 1 of 2014 when the Jaguars were at the Eagles. Alan Hearns burst on the scene. They had a nice lead in that game and let it slip away. Eagles on CBS, not a team that I see very often, is my point. And watching their film against Cincinnati last week, the first half, they kind of moseyed around, but then the way their offense looked in the second half really impressed me. I mean, they whether it's Barkley on the ground or Devontae Smith or A.J. Brown, you got to worry about Jalen Hurts running. There's a lot of different ways they can beat you. So, yes, the Jaguars defense will have their hands full with a very hot Eagles team that has won 3 straight coming off their bye.
What's the key to stopping this Eagles push play?
I think that nobody can figure it out. It's amazing. Now we have to decide if we want to call it the tush push or the brotherly shove. That'll have to be something we spend a lot of time with analyzing this week. But if you're a Jaguars fan, you don't want to hear it at all because I think they're around an 82% success rate when they run that play. Jalen Hurts had 2 of his 3 rushing touchdowns against the Bengals on that play. I don't know. I mean, it's something that no one has really been able to figure out, and certainly I'm not going to be able to help the Jags do it either.
It's Andrew Catalon of CBS Sports, the NFL on CBS, also the Masters Tournament and NCAA basketball, and he does it all for CBS. And the full conversation coming soon on the official Jaguars podcast network. We're back in a moment. Jeff Lageman back with us as we move ahead to the Jaguars-Eagles matchup. It's the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
Floridians, do you know how close you are to freshness? It's not a plane or a ship ride away. It's not across an ocean or over the equator. It's not even a far drive. The peak of freshness is at your grocery store, and it's called Fresh from Florida. Fresh from Florida is local produce grown by farmers right here in our own state, meaning it's always fresh, always in season, and always mouth-wateringly good. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo or ask for it by name where you shop.
Calling all loyal Jags fans and loyal Gate customers, football is back. And you and 3 friends could win a chance to meet Trevor Lawrence. Entering is easy. Just buy any 5 28-ounce Gatorade or Gatorade Zero products at Gate with your MyGate Rewards app, and you'll be automatically entered. Not a MyGate Rewards member? Download the app and sign up today. See store for details. Alternate entry available at GatoradePromos.com/TLaw.
Unlock your potential at the University of North Florida. A beautiful campus with an inspiring environment for learning, UNF is a key partner to Florida's booming industries, providing students with direct access to internships and jobs. Set a new course at UNF and soar into your future. Visit unf.edu to learn more. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show presented by Fresh from Florida. We're on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida, #1 university in the U.S. News and World Report's #1 state for education. The Jaguars and the Eagles coming up in Week 9. Jags 2-6. The Eagles 5-2. They've had a bye week already, and they've won 3 straight games after that bye week to get on track a bit here. And all right, for the Jaguars, last week, two giveaways, right? In their own end, Trevor Lawrence with the interception and the costly fumble. We know all about his fumbling history overall, but 4 of his, 20-something career fumbles were in Philadelphia 2 years ago in the rain. Don't need to revisit that again, but it's what it is. You got to protect the football. However, there's a balance, right, Logs? Because you want to push the ball down the field. You got to take some chances, but in certain situations, you got to be a little more conservative with the football. Where's the balance there?
Well, I think the fumble that we saw this past Sunday was kind of a direct result of him trying to do a little bit too much. You've got a football team that's struggling to find wins, and that you're trying to do more. And in this case, he's trying to switch the ball over to the left hand so that he can stiff arm the defender away with the right arm and then do whatever, right? And then that ball gets kind of away from his body, and he's palming it, and the defender comes in and goes to wrap him up and then swings his arm around, punches it out. In that situation, hindsight's always 20/20, throw it away, take the sack, do whatever. But don't give the ball up to the Packers at point-blank range. And then the interception was not great. I don't think he got a lot of help from the receiver in that situation. I think.
Who was at fault there?
Well, I don't know for sure because, again, I'm not a coach and I don't have the game plan. But when you have 2 receivers in close proximity like that, there's clearly something that's not not right, because the safety kind of came off of Brian Thomas Jr. to make that interception. First and foremost, I think Brian Thomas is supposed to be out of there. And then the throw was kind of in between the two of them. So not really sure what was going on there, but clearly not a great throw and not great routes, just a combination of the two being together. Wasn't going to work out like that. But, two costly turnovers. And would you end up giving up off of that 14 points?
Yeah. Touchdown in each one.
So, that's costly. And obviously in a 3-point game, that means the world. And you got to be better with football. But, at the same token, Trevor's been really good this year at taking care of the ball.
He has.
Been really good.
Yeah, especially the last 4 games or so. Yeah.
But
even overall.
The reality is that that's been a problem in his past. He's got, I think, like 65 giveaways in his career since it started. And what's the number? 22 fumbles lost. That's a lot, And as a quarterback, you're going to throw interceptions. Go watch Patrick Mahomes. He throws interceptions. But Patrick has the ability to kind of more than make up for that at other critical moments.
Yeah, I'd say.
And so until you can start making up for it, then you just got to learn to play clean.
Register your furry friend for the Jaguars official 4-legged fan club for pets presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your pet will receive access to exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout this season. Visit jaguars.com/promotions/4-legged fan club and sign up today. Back in a moment. What else is on the trade block for the Jags? It's the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.
Ranked as the nation's best public university by the Wall Street Journal, the University of Florida is on a mission to transform education. UF continues to help grow the economy through research breakthroughs and leadership in AI. And with its nationally recognized career services, UF students and graduates have never been better prepared to make a difference in the world. To learn more about how the University of Florida fuels bold ideas that make an impact around the globe, visit fromflorida.ufl.edu.
Check this out, the new iPhone 16 built for Apple Intelligence. At Verizon, you can get it when you trade in any phone from one of their top brands.
Any?
Any.
Even if it's 4 years old?
Yeah.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk?
Yep.
Even if it's 4 years old and I drop it on the sidewalk, then a scooter runs it over, so now it's not just old and cracked, but shattered?
With Verizon, the answer is always yes. Trade in any phone from one of our top brands for the new iPhone 16 with Unlimited Ultimate. Plus, get a new iPad. Trade-in terms apply. See Verizon.com for details. Apple Intelligence coming fall 2024.
Jaguars fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear from all the leagues, teams, and Jaguars players you love. Shop the most trusted brands, exclusive designs by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars. Join Fanatics Rewards today and earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and get today's special offer. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Want to be up close and personal with the Jaguars as they take the field? Here's your chance to be in the shadows, outside the Jaguars locker room, now called the Vault. Enter today at everbank.com/shadows. One winner and a guest for every home game at Everbank Stadium. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to legal residents in 50 United States and D.C. 18 and older. Entry periods for the Shadow Sweepstakes promotion from 8/19/24 to 12/15/24. For official rules and complete details, visit everbank.com/shadows. Sponsored administrator, Everbank NA, member FDIC.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Doug Pederson Show is presented by Fresh from Florida. JP Shadrick with Jeff Lageman. Head coach Doug Pederson joining us in the opening segment each and every week. And that conversation archived on Jaguars.com and Jaguars YouTube and all the places you can find Jaguars content. The official Jaguars podcast network as well. Well, the Jags made a trade, of course. If you've been living under a rock, maybe you haven't heard. But Cam Robinson traded to the Vikings. The trade deadline is Tuesday in the afternoon. So, what's next? Is there anything else that could be out there? Like, for example, if Travis Etienne is back on the field this week, coming off the hamstring injury, Tank Bigsby's been playing really well. Travis Etienne has, 2 years left in his deal? No, this is his fourth year this year. So 1 year after this season, they gave him the fifth-year option already.
Yeah.
And it's for pretty good money next year. Could he be a candidate to be dealt?
I don't know the answer to that, but, I mean, if you just kind of go based on what the rumors were, I mean, there was a couple guys that were out there, Etienne being one of them. Christian Kirk was also – name was thrown out there amongst the possibilities pile.
Yep. Not after the collarbone now. But.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably gone now. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. And teams that are not playing well typically can become sellers of guys that are viewed in two different ways. One, that the team feels like that they have their future replacements, which I think would be maybe the case with Christian Kirk. You got Parker Washington. People say, well, Parker could take over for Christian Kirk. And I'm not saying that he could. I'm just saying that that's kind of what leads to that conversation about how a guy becomes involved in trade talk. Guys also that have a contract that is expiring and the team is looking to maybe move on from that player in the future. I think Cam fell into that category a little bit on top of the general disagreement as to this over the weekend kind of a thing. So I don't know. I mean, that's a great question. And I love the NFL trade deadline. It's for a long time, it used to not really happen very often.
Didn't it used to be earlier too? Or has it always kind of been this time frame?
No, I think they had it earlier in the year and then and they had it too early because a lot of teams didn't really know what their fate was going to be.
Yeah.
Well, they moved it back a little bit because, look, the reality is that trades create interest across the NFL. It's no different than free agency and what it's done to the popularity of the sport because it made it a year-round spectator sport because of the transactions that were occurring. And by moving the trade deadline back, it also has created a couple things. One, more buzz, more news about the NFL. Number two, also, it gives good teams an opportunity to maybe have even more hope that, hey, we got this guy, we can really, we've been lacking. Like, for example, the Vikings. Hey, we lost our left tackle. Now we got another starting left tackle. Let's go, man. We're in the hunt.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then a team that, for the most part is largely out of the playoff hunt, the Jaguars. Mm-hmm. Well, here's an opportunity that a player is more than likely not going to be back after this year, an opportunity to acquire some type of draft capital for the future. So I think it's good, and I'm glad that they did move it back. I wish they would move it back another week or two.
Remember the Jaguars 2017 were right there on the cusp. Okay, we think we got a shot. We got to shore up this run defense. So they went and got Marcel Darius in the trade from the Bills.
And
he was great.
He did a good job against the run. So, you never know. I know one thing. It'll be a fun week as far as leading all the way up to Tuesday because I think there will be a few more trades that occur between now and then. Not with this team, I'm saying. I'm just saying in the league.
Yeah.
In the
Fun's
league.
one word for it.
In the league.
Anxiety is another word if you're dealing with it.
And if the Jets lose tonight, they may be selling a lot of guys.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
We're back in a moment. Our final thoughts ahead of this Jaguars-Eagles matchup in Week 9. Jags at 2-6 trying to get it together. Tough stretch in the next 4 weeks. All 4 teams coming up on the schedule. At least 3 games above 500.
Tough road. Hey, look, that's the way the NFL is. I mean, this little stretch right here, you're either going to come out of it smelling pretty good, or you're going to come out of it smelling pretty bad.
It's the Doug Pederson Show on Jaguars Radio.
Can you imagine rising for work before the crack of dawn? Tending to hundreds of acres of land before dusk? Well, that's what happens on 47,000 Florida farms every day. Florida's farmers work hard to grow nutritious food for you and your family. And you can help support them by enjoying delicious Fresh from Florida produce. Look for the sunny Fresh from Florida logo where you shop, or visit freshfromflorida.com to learn more.
Calling all loyal Jags fans and loyal Gate customers, football is back. And you and 3 friends could win a chance to meet Trevor Lawrence. Entering is easy. Just buy any 5 28-ounce Gatorade or Gatorade Zero products at Gate with your MyGate Rewards app, and you'll be automatically entered. Not a MyGate Rewards member? Download the app and sign up today. See store for details. Alternate entry available at GatoradePromos.com/TLaw.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, Everbank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading healthcare and technology organizations nationwide to deliver workforce solutions. CSI prides itself on building meaningful relationships and provides personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
The 2024 season is pawsome. Register your pet for the Four-Legged Fan Club, presented by Forever Vets Animal Hospital. Your furry friend can access exclusive merchandise, events, and sweepstakes throughout the season. Fan club members will be automatically entered to win the Pet of the Game sweepstakes with 2 Jags tickets and sideline passes for pet owners, and a chance for your pet to be featured on the video boards as Pet of the Game. Visit Jaguars.com/promotions/Four-Legged Fan Club to sign up.
Welcome back. The Doug Pederson Show continues right now.
Election day just around the corner, and we all need to show up big for our country. Be sure you're prepared for this Tuesday, November 5th, by making a voting game plan. For more resources and information, visit NFL.com/votes. It'll be a busy day all around. Election day and the trade deadline. Doug Pederson Show continues, presented by Fresh from Florida. JP Shadrick, Jeff Lageman, not yet. That's the 5th, Tuesday.
Right. I voted early.
Always a day of guy. I like doing it day of.
I did a little early, and pretty busy. Pretty busy. A lot of lines backed up.
It's good.
So good, man. I'm glad to see people out voting early.
All right, final thoughts. Jaguars at the Eagles. 4:05 kickoff time. It was prime time, but they got flexed out of it. 3 o'clock countdown to kickoff on the Jaguars radio network. What do you feel?
Well, I mean, just from a selfish standpoint.
You're hesitant.
From a selfish standpoint, I mean, I'm glad that it was flexed out so we can be home at a decent hour.
Okay, great. Yeah.
It's not exactly what I wanted to see, because I wanted to see this football team be good, and right now they're not playing good. If they were, had 5 wins or 4 wins in their pocket, this game doesn't get flexed out. I think this is a tough matchup for the Jaguars. I do. I think it's a very physical football team in Philadelphia that has a quarterback that's playing on a roll right now.
All right, Jaguars, Eagles coming up. Thanks to our entire crew, Brent Reber, Joe Fortunato, William Pease. For Jeff Lageman and head coach Doug Pederson, I'm JP Shadrick. Thank you for listening to the Doug Pederson Show on the Jaguars Radio Network.